We are going. We're waiting for YouTube. Maybe YouTube is live. If we are live, let us know in the comments. Hi, I am Brandon. Your Swiftie for the evening, apparently. My team has provided for me a Taylor Swift cup. And Jane, my sister, who is a big Swiftie, provided me a 631 bracelet. Now, I wanted to point out that I published my first book, I believe, a few months before Taylor Swift released her first album. And I have been trolling my audience since 2006. So I just want to point out that I think Taylor Swift maybe got it from me. And that's the narrative. I'm going to stick to that.
I like it. And I'm sorry to everyone in the YouTube chat. I just turned slow mode on because I think tonight's going to be a little crazy.
Tonight might be a little crazy. Steel Manning 631 is not a Swift thing, but a lot of people compared me dropping some hints about what was coming to the way that she drops hints on some of the different things she's doing. And so those comparisons were quite common, which is why Jane, I think, decided that I needed a friendship bracelet, a Taylor Swift. 631 was the timestamp of within a certain video that you can watch on our channel if you haven't already. I don't know why you're here if you haven't watched that.
I would assume that if they're here.
Well, they're asking what is 631, so.
Oh, maybe they're just looking for confirmation?
Maybe they're looking for confirmation, yeah.
I saw people talking about it in the videos.
Yeah, okay,
chat,
yeah.
So
I pitched this to the team long time ago. I'm like, let's start embedding this number, which will be the number where I start the announcement for Secret Project number 5, and so that's where it came from. So someone very astutely noticed in retrospect the 631 in the little artwork from the State of the Sanderson, which we added digitally.
Yes.
So that I think that was our first little hint.
That was the first one, but someone did find a video from like a year ago that was 6 minutes and 31 seconds long as well. That was just serendipity.
Complete serendipity. Yep. But I'm not going to say, why 631? 631, also, the Darcy Cole has a little video that you may want to watch about which I will say nothing.
On TikTok.
On TikTok, yes. Go watch Darcy Cole on TikTok.
And she's probably in the chat. I wouldn't be surprised. Okay. Hi, Darcy.
Yes.
Great video.
So I can see the chat, so you guys are welcome to try to ask me some questions.
Before we get to that, I did see a couple people asking about commenting on the audio. Let me know if it needs to be louder or anything like that. I have it at my normal settings, but things seem to change every time I do one of these. So
they're asking about the Tuck Me In contest.
Yeah, I'll clarify this. So if you're wanting to enter for yourself, feel free to enter for yourself using Tuck Me In. If you have family members who want to enter for you, they can enter with their email address using you as a descriptor.
Okay.
Is that clear?
And we will announce the winner
on the final live stream.
On the final live stream.
29th.
Okay. So
I should say final live stream of the campaign. Not our final live stream
of all time. Also, I have beautiful little 3D printed what are we calling these? Stick trophy displays? Stick holders. So I'll let Callan tell us what each of these are. This is our souped up one that an expert has painted and added some little things to. This is what they look like if you just print them off.
And that was Katie that painted that, right?
Yes, okay. Yeah. She kind of took hot glue. She's on my team, and she took hot glue and then painted the hot glue on the 3D printed.
So your own personalized stick holder. Find someone who has a 3D printer. They can get very small for your tiny stick holder needs.
If you have a pine needle,
yes,
maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, pine needle. And if you don't have access to a printer, a lot of libraries nowadays have them. College campuses have them.
Yep.
So print them and then tag us on social media with hashtag #IamTheStick, and we're gonna try and have Brandon pick some
Oh,
sticks.
we have a video that
Yes.
Taylor thought of that we haven't pitched to you. That I'm very curious. What you'll take. I usually know what that means when I say something like that. So.
Yes, I do.
And for those who are curious about the Tuck Me In contest, go watch. Was it last week's weekly update?
Yes.
We're giving away a Tuckerization for hitting 500,000 subscribers. So.
Yep. And I have been asked what my favorite Taylor Swift song. My favorite Taylor Swift song is the mashup of Taylor Swift Never Getting Back Together with Korn's Coming Undone.
Oh, nice.
By ISO Sign. Yeah. Go listen to that. It's amazing. I love the mashup of Taylor Swift and Korn. So that's my favorite Taylor Swift song is a bootleg. But, you know. So we're going to do questions. We're going to be here for about an hour. Have I seen Dune 2 yet? I see it tomorrow. So
let's make sure Dan watches it as well.
Oh yeah,
so
we should.
Podcast.
We should make sure. I'm sure Dan will see it eventually, but yes. So are we doing questions in the stream? Yeah, we'll be taking questions mostly. Well, whatever I see. What I see, I will.
If you ask me for a question, I'll give you a question.
Yeah.
If you see something there, feel free to talk straight to the chat.
So, yeah. So Kyle says that they would like the sound higher. If you all agree with Kyle, let us know.
I will turn myself up. I saw that everyone else was good but me, but I don't want to, when you're doing sound on yourself, you just never know.
What's my favorite Star Wars movie? Great question. So, my favorite is not the best. My favorite is Return of the Jedi. This is because I love a great climactic scene in a film or a book, and I really love the final showdown with Luke and Vader and the Emperor. I recognize that structurally and in a lot of ways, Empire is the superior movie, but Return of the Jedi is my favorite, actually followed by A New Hope. Even though all three of the originals are fantastic, just because the pacing and screenplay, though obviously, if you know anything about the first one, they didn't make the movie they wrote, but the final structure, how shall I say, is just a masterclass in how to tell a story and make character arcs. So I love all three of them. But yeah. Looking forward to the Fallout set. I'm looking a little bit more forward to some of the other sets that they're doing coming up. I do love Fallout quite a bit, but I love to play Fallout, so I think I might just get one of the Commander decks rather than, but I think it's already out. I think it just came out. Favorite Lord of the Rings, I saw that. My favorite Lord of the Rings movie is the second one, Two Towers, because, again, I think it has my favorite of the endings. I think Helm's Deep and everything that happens there, I like just a little more. I do love Sam and Frodo at the end of the third movie, but the Minas Tirith and things like that doesn't hold up compared to Helm's Deep, I feel. So there we are.
Well, and now we're hearing that the audio is ahead of the video, so I apologize. I don't know why that's been 2 streams in a row.
Yeah,
I need to get a different system than trying to run this through my laptop.
Yeah, is that probably what it is?
It could be. I don't know.
Yeah, but the computer we bought didn't work either.
Yeah, that one has a weird hum. I don't know if something's not grounded or something like that, but.
So we may need to get like an actual streaming computer.
Yeah, I have thoughts on this, obviously,
yes.
but I'm sure everyone in chat wants to hear about my thoughts on that.
Favorite Ninja Turtle? Oh, favorite Ninja Turtle. As a kid, I always liked Donatello, like a lot of nerdy kids did. So yeah, Donatello probably. Can I name the Taylor Swift arrows? No. I think Taylor Swift is quite a skilled musician, but I would not call myself a Swiftie. I'm not able to, to do a whole bunch of Taylor Swift related trivia. Yeah, sound is going to be a little off.
Yeah, I'm working on it right now.
Okay, we're working on the sound. So, is there a way to receive a RAFO card? You receive a RAFO card by asking me a RAFO-worthy question in person. That's the best way. Have I read Lightweaver by Brent Weeks? Yes. I think Lightweaver is fantastic. Highly recommended for anyone who likes my books. I would recommend that you go read Brent Weeks. He's really, really good. Favorite Fallout game? So it's going to be New Vegas for me. I know, hot take, right? Everyone's favorite. A lot of people argue between 1-3 and New Vegas. I am more of an FPS fan than I am a tactics fan when it comes to video games. And so having an FPS that has some of the writing aesthetic of the first two is great. My least favorite was 4. I really aggressively was annoyed by Fallout 4. I'm so annoyed. Like, I love the aesthetic. I love being in the world of Fallout, and the story for 4 just drove me up the wall. So
I totally get that. It is still one of my favorite games for everything else outside of it. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I love the scarcity, searching, crafting aspect of the game. I don't play the game for the story.
They did improve. I like power armor being a thing you climb in with your regular armor rather than it just being a regular armor. I think that's a cool upgrade. I liked some of the DLC actually quite a bit. I thought the DLC was strong. I hated settlements, partially because I love the idea of building a society, rebuilding a society, and I think it was implemented so poorly. And I think that the writing, it just drove me up the wall in Fallout 4. So there we are. Let's see. Am I excited for Elden Ring DLC? Yes, I am. Knowing a little bit about Miyazaki, having played a lot of his games, the way that he is talking about it makes me very, very excited. I think it's going to be enormous. He's a very humble man, and he's like, oh, I think it's only going to be about this size. And it's what the size he's saying is already big, and it's probably going to be 3 times that size. So, yeah. Lindsay asks, is Yumi still my favorite Sega project? Yeah, I think it is. The fandom has settled around, I think, Trust as their favorite, which is perfectly justifiable. So, yeah. Favorite Stephen King book? Oh, now that's a hard question. Stephen King has a lot of bangers. I'm going to go with The Stand just because it's the most Brandon-y epic fantasy, even though it's not fantasy. But, I mean, a lot of The Dark Tower is pretty awesome. His short stories are just obviously incredible. Man. T for Aerith. I played during the Aerith era. I had leveled up Aerith so high. My whole party was built around Aerith. And so I was definitely more of an Aerith fan. So
I just started playing the remake last night for the first time.
I have not played remake. I kind of want to wait till they're all out. I'm disappointed in remake that your work doesn't carry over between them.
I didn't know that. That's a pretty. I feel like that would be a pretty easy solve.
Yeah, I mean, Mass Effect solved this a decade ago, and so the fact that it doesn't made me really unexcited for remake. But maybe someday. So I have not though played any video games since I started Stormlight 5. So everything that's come out since Baldur's Gate 3, which my son has played and tells me is awesome, Tears of the Kingdom, which my son has played and tells me is awesome. I haven't played any of the awesome games that has come out. Oh, East 10? Ooh, I got East stories. So East is the first video game I really remember kind of bonding to. East Books 1 and 2 on the Neo Geo. My brother had a game system that had like full music, like orchestrated music, and things like that. And I really enjoyed those games. Yeah, everyone's talking about Helldivers.
That game looks so awesome.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to play any video games. If you guys want Stormlight 5 on time, if you want it to exist, then I can't play any video games until June 1st when I turn in Stormlight 5. I did notice a question perhaps poking me regarding the new secret project and how I found time for that. Yeah. Stormlight 5 has been very, very demanding. And every time that people asked if I had a new secret project and I said no, it was true because I wasn't finished with this yet. And, you know, I'm always noodling on lots of things and things like that. But I did find time when I needed to take a break. I could have played a video game, and instead I finished Secret Project 5. So it's a story I've wanted to tell for quite a long time. So how did I find the time? When my brain was dead on Stormlight and I just needed a break, otherwise I felt the quality would go down, I took a break and I worked on something else. The fact that there's...
Sorry, 1 second. I forgot I wasn't plugged in.
Oh, the fact... computer's about to die? That would be bad. The fact that there's only one this time is an indication of how busy I've been. I'll just let you know that. So Secret Project 5 is a Cosmere book. Oh, and I got the question here that I saw on Reddit. Are the pins Series 2? That's what a lot of people are asking. Kellen?
Yes.
Yes, I believe they are.
As far as I'm aware.
I've seen prototypes.
They're part of Series 2. They're not the entire Series 2, but they are part of Series 2.
So yeah. Secret Project, you're welcome to try to pull things out of me about it, but I'm likely to be tight-lipped until we do our launch of that in a couple of weeks. Horneater update. Main reason I didn't write Horneater during the time I had is the one that I've told you all before. I really think I'm going to need to be back with the Stormlight archive before I can get back to Stormlight 6 because I'm working on some other things in between. And I'm saving in reserve the Horneater novella so that I can write that when I need to dip back in. I just know, like, Wax and Wane came out of me needing to be on Scadrial when I knew I wasn't going to be able to get to the next era for a long time. I'm going to have that same sense, I'm sure, with Roshar. So I'm saving the Horneater novella for that. The Secret Project is not Stormlight, a direct Stormlight book. So... what was my favorite 631 theory? Oh, man, there were a ton of really, really interesting ones. I'd have to go back. They say the audio's in sync now.
Oh.
Or very close to it. The color on Secret Project 5. We had a bunch of questions about this. So we had picked the purple color before we chose an artist. And we have now chosen an artist, a fantastic artist who is, when we do the artwork for these secret projects, as you probably know, we give the whole book to the artist and let them kind of come up with an artist's signature edition. We let them pitch to us how they want it to look. That's why all 4 of the previous secret projects all have their own really interesting and cool visual style. I think we get a lot from that. And this artist asked us if we could shift it a little bit more toward a burgundy. And so you'll see that. We will have some demos of that. And so it's still going to be it's going to have a little purplish in it. But it's more of a burgundy. And that's the artist saying what they think will match the artwork, particularly the full color that they're putting into it. So we apologize for that. We had all of these graphics ready, and then the artist came to us and just said, "Hey, can I do this?" And we're like, if we're going to really make these artists sort of additions, we should let them make the choice. So, oh yeah, I see in the thread here, Audible. People are bringing up Audible. I recognize that by kind of launching this news the same day as our release of another secret project, that this news will get lost a little bit. We'll try to focus people on it the next couple of days. But we needed to get that out for you to explain why we are letting, for instance, Secret Project 5 be distributed by Audible. So we felt you needed to know who that was, or you needed to know why that was. So we needed to get that press release up and going. I'm really excited by this. I'm really excited by Secret Projects, obviously, and Kickstarters, backer kits. But the fact that we actually made some inroads after a year of work on audiobook royalties for authors, that is, I think, going to be do some very big good. Very big good. I am a writer. It's gonna be great for the community. And it's rare that, as even someone with the kind of reach that I do, it's rare that you can accomplish something that is so wide-reaching. I think there's a decent chance this will even affect the traditionally published authors, and I think there's a decent chance a year from now, every author in the country will be making more money, and that feels really good. That we were able to make that happen. So go read the thing that we posted. It gets into some of the details. Most of them can't come out for now. So there you are. We'll talk more about this as Audible actually releases the numbers. Obviously, as I say in the release, there's still work to do. But I feel like we at Dragonsteel actually did something for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's been a journey for sure.
and that's cool. All right. So a lot of people are asking what my favorite plushie is. I think next week's our plushie, we'll bring in a bunch of the plushies.
We have the prototypes. And we were going to bring them in.
They're all getting tweaked just a little bit. So surprisingly, I would have thought that Syl would be my favorite plushie. And she is top 3 for me. I think she's number 2. But Wendell came out the best.
He's my favorite too.
Wendell is, you're going to love the Wendell plushie. And it's very huggable, and it just looks so good. So I'm very, very happy with how the plushies are turning out, and I would say I'd have to get them all here to pick my top 3. I know it's Wendell then Syl. The Syl plushie turned out really good. So
some people have asked why we did not include the plushies in the regular tiers. Do we want to address why they are?
Yeah, sure. Why don't you go ahead and do that?
Yeah, so we love the plushies, and this was very much a Brandon request, right?
Yes.
You very much wanted this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But they're complicated plushies, so they are a little bit more expensive, and they would have significantly increased our tier prices if we included them.
Yeah.
And we wanted to let people opt into that increased price rather than forcing everyone into that increased price, which is why we made them add-ons instead of part of the regular swag. They're also more difficult to ship.
Yeah.
And so...
someone is asking if they need to back to get a Words of Radiance to get a plushie. And you don't need to, but you do need to buy at least the $10.
The $10 tier is the smallest tier that lets you access the add-ons. Now, I think once the pre-order store opens in April, I think
you might be able
to get them outside of backing a tier. I'll have to confirm that.
Plushies are what? This big?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
about 6 inches
Oh.
by.
So half that?
Yeah,
Well,
no, they're not 6
no.
inches. They're bigger.
They're bigger.
Yeah.
I thought they
I
were
think
like
it's
9
like
or something
6
like
inches
that.
wide by 12 inches tall
Yeah.
is what we're telling people.
Yeah, they're pretty big. So we will yeah. We'll bring them in next week. So next week you can see them in comparison to Brandon for scale, and you'll be able to see what's And they have like a lot of them have detailed clothing and things like that. And so they are really nice plushies. We knew we were going to probably be doing low print runs of some of them. So we basically are like, these are going to have to be a little more expensive because we're not making a ton of them. So let's make them nice. So that is what we did. Is the Syl plushie Syl sized? Well, Syl can be a multiple different sizes. And so, yes, this is a size that Syl can be. It's not a common size that Syl is, but it is definitely a size she can be. Heather, Stormlight 5 cover. Michael is working away on that. I have sketches, but only sketches right now. So, and Michael prefers that us not show his work before he is settled on a final. Then he shows all of the things he did before after he has a final. So we let Michael, the greatest artist of science fiction and fantasy, of our era, we let him do what he wants to do, and we let him take the lead. So we'll let him show them off once he has settled on a final.
Yeah, we'll
painting.
show you as soon as we can.
Yeah.
But I did see an interesting question, which I'm going to rephrase. Is there an absolute limit to how big Syl can be?
Yes, Stormlight 5, that question is asked.
Okay.
So that's a read and find out because, I actually have that in there.
And someone's asking about the Stormlight title. I'm not sure if...
Stormlight title is Wind and Truth.
I guess you have that now. I don't need to say that anymore.
Yep. No, but if you see ones that you think I should answer. The in-world book is actually called Knights of Wind and Truth, but the actual title, the external title works, Secret Project 5 delivery date, 2025. We're not promising exactly because it sometimes isn't up to us, but we are looking for late or early spring. What is it again?
Yeah.
Late spring or
April-ish.
early summer.
Yeah.
Early summer, late spring. For the ebook and audiobook, and then after that for the print book. So, yep.
I do want to ask Kellen, have you seen any general questions about the backer kit that you want to address right here? Just while we have 10,000 people watching.
What's that? Oh, yes. People are asking about the narrator for the Secret Project. I don't think we've picked one
We
yet.
haven't picked a narrator yet. I need to do some revisions on the book. How big is it? So it is the biggest of the Secret Projects. I think I'd have to pull it open, but it is longer than any of the others, but not by a significant amount. I think my final draft was 120, something like that. Is Hoyd in the new Secret Project? Well, that's definitely a read and find out.
And people are asking if any of the stuff from the campaign will be available later. As with our other campaigns, yes, we do anticipate the things being for sale on our website after we have finished fulfillment. We give it some time, and then they go on our website, generally at a slightly increased cost. And the backer pin that you get as part of the backer pack will definitely not be available. That's a specific exclusive pin to backers. If some items we can tell aren't as popular, we may not put them on the store afterward, but most of the items should be available.
So when I said 120, I meant 120,000 words, for those who are confused by that. Sorry. Authors speak in word counts because page
I didn't
counts.
even bat an eye at that.
Yep. And so as they go, I think Frugal Wizard was like 85, and Tress and Yumi were between 100 and 110, something like that. So,
Yes, honestly, it's 120 letters.
120 letters. So I'd have to open the actual files. You can probably find those online, but they're all around 100,000.
Yeah.
Just a smidge over, I think, for Yumi and Trust. So this is just a smidge longer than Yumi or Trust, is what I believe. When did I write it, Jason? Well, when I needed a break from Stormlight 5, basically. In those moments where I just had to step away for a little bit to let my mind clear. And I did write some of it before I started on Stormlight 5. So we will tell you more. We'll let you. I believe the artist is going to join us on one of the live streams in this month.
Live stream on the 22nd, and she is trying to even get some concept cover art for us.
Yeah.
I'm not going to promise that because it's not mine to promise, but
I will tell you this. This is not a Hoyd narrated book. I think that'll help. This is not Hoyd narrated. It is future era in that it's probably, in fact, I think it is the furthest to the future we've seen canonically, but not by much.
A fun question from Andikai in the chat. Are you all proud of us for storming Backerkit?
Yes, yes. So
we warned them. But,
we warned them. We tried so hard to get them to understand, and it still crashed. We were all pretty annoyed.
Too many dust bringers in our fandom.
Yeah. Let's see. Have I read any? Have I read any of Bob Salvatore's work? Yes, I read a ton when I was younger. I haven't read much of his new stuff, but I did get to have dinner with him once. He was super nice. So yeah.
People do want to know how the team found out about the secret project.
Oh, yes. So they found out about it the same way that they found out about the other ones. They got to work one day, and there were 4 copies of it sitting in the warehouse for them to read.
I will say it's one of the happiest times I've ever seen you. You were giddy.
I really like surprising people. So it's pretty awesome that I get to do that. So yeah, and I like it when the team. So they are the beta readers. 3-Body Problem is awesome. Everybody should read that. Also,
I'm very
incredible.
excited for the miniseries.
Yeah. So yeah, 3-Body Problem, thumbs up.
Did you do the whole trilogy or just the first
I've only read the first one. Getting time to read whole trilogies
Yeah.
is super hard for me these days. So, yeah. Let's see. So, what do I think of Nora Jameson? I mean, Nora's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Not much to say about that other than that really she deserves the praise she's gotten. I really like 100,000 Kingdoms. I like Broken Earth quite a bit. 100,000 Kingdoms, I prefer. I think I prefer the magic and the world building in 100,000 Kingdoms. But yeah.
Over Blackwater Park says, how does Secret Project 5 affect Stormlight 5's release?
It does not affect it. Stormlight 5 is on target. I won't be able to revise Secret Project 5 until Stormlight 5 is fully done with revisions, which is why we can't release Secret Project 5 until next year. If I hadn't been quite so busy, I might have been able to get it ready so that we could release it, closer to the crowdfunding campaign. But got a lot of things to do. So,
Higa Baby says, what type of cheese would Hoyd be?
What type of cheese would Hoyd be? Something real snooty and that
like a truffle camembert.
Yeah, or maybe what's that cheese from Spain, that blue cheese that they put in caves for 6 months and then bring out and it makes your mouth numb when you eat it?
Does it start with an R? Someone in the chat will say it.
Yeah. Ray Bradbury. I love Ray Bradbury. My favorite Ray Bradbury story is Ice and Fire, Fire and Ice. It's the one about a planet where people live for 7 days. It's quite brilliant. I highly recommend that. So if you want it's more like a novelette than a short story, I believe. But go look up Ice and Fire or Fire and Ice. I get it confused because we have a song of Ice and Fire. Yeah.
People are asking about the timeline for the Dragonsteel Prime ebook and audiobook.
Oh, that's yeah. What do we
I
know?
don't have an update on that.
Okay.
Pretty soon. Oh, bit my tongue. Pretty soon. I'm not sure if it'll be during the campaign, but it will be as soon as we can. The audiobook will be a few months away. But
Yeah, audiobook's a few
ebook
months
will
away.
be as soon as we can.
As soon as we can. Yeah. Avatar live action. Well, M. Night Shyamalan's made some good movies in the past, so maybe I'll eventually get to his live action adaptation of Last Airbender. Will the previous 1 through 4 secret projects become audible now? Yes, they will. As soon as we can get the details worked out, my team is finalizing contracts and things. So I would expect it within a month, hopefully. Guys, Henry does not have time to narrate an audiobook. I already asked him if he had time to narrate an audiobook, and he does not have time. He's very, very busy with the adaptation of Warhammer that he's doing. He is super nice. He's really legitimately a great guy, but I've already asked. You're not going to get a Henry Cavill audiobook anytime soon.
It would be amazing, though.
You're going to have to enjoy Moiraine reading Eye of the World to you. I believe she got an Audi award for her Eye of the World. Highly recommend that. Even though Michael Kramer and Kate Redding are awesome, it is cool that you can go listen to it again with a different narrator, and
It's like a different book.
Mm-hmm. So
Someone named Adam is asking Adam how the cinnamon roll was this morning.
Well, it wasn't a cinnamon roll. That just happened to be the spiral of my whipped cream. That was a waffle, and it was delicious. Thank you.
David Tennant, I would save David Tennant if I ever did another book from Hoyd's viewpoint. We got really close. We didn't know he was coming back as the Doctor, and that was what he was actually working on when I was trying to get him to narrate, which now explains why it was so hard to figure out timing. So we might go back to him at some point, but I mean, William Demerit is incredible. We will definitely use him again in the future. Really, really great narrator. So.
He will love to hear that because
yeah.
I was actually mailing him today. So
yeah, so we'll find some way to use William Demerit again, and I will try at some point in the future David Tennant again. So, but we have to have the right book. So.
Will we see all the swag before we order actual items? We have some prototypes, but we can't show you everything. We don't have banners. We don't have the charms, things like that. So some things will be prototyped.
So you'll have to see next week. We will bring a bunch of those prototypes. One of the reasons we do this as a crowdfunding campaign is because we don't know how many of things to order.
Yep.
And so we don't have most of these in stock. We will order them once we know how many to order.
So please fill out your surveys as soon as you get them. I'm sure Christy will really want you to do that.
Yes, yesterday was the cutoff for the last campaign, and we still had hundreds of people who never filled them out. So please fill them out early.
So Dragonsteel Prime on Kindle, you are welcome to put it on your Kindle. I believe we usually release them in multiple formats. We did last time.
Yeah.
I can't remember what Kindle reads. I think it
Mobi. I think, but I think we did both formats last time.
I think they changed.
Oh,
Mobi.
did they change Mobi?
They don't service
so
Mobi.
they went to
It's
an
just
actual
EPUB.
universal.
It's EPUB.
Okay.
It's EPUB. So you should just be able to email your EPUB to your Kindle.
Yeah, through their send to Kindle, you just
cool.
It's really quite easy.
I don't want to put either of the primes on for sale on Amazon. For one reason, we release them for free. Mm-hmm. But some people would rather have it be $1 on Amazon than free, just so that they can get it on their Kindle a little easier, which I understand. I don't do that because I don't want people who are new to my work to read one of the Prime books, which were written, before my current skill level as a writer. I don't want them to get mixed up and buy the wrong one. I don't want them to go read Way of Kings Prime and think that they're reading Way of Kings. So yeah. Make
Sarah
Doomslug Cosmere
says
candy.
their partner, they're two different orders, so they don't know what to do. I would recommend picking one order as part of the pledge, and then we have the swag pack add-on for your other order, so you can get both.
What music have I been enjoying? A lot of Lo-Fi Girl. I really like Lo-Fi Girl. I mean, my go-tos are Lo-Fi Girl and Thomas Bergeron, Two Steps from Hell, however you say his last name. I actually should have it open so I can read it. I did do a lot of listening to the Silver Sun pickups, which somehow I had missed in my listening habits. You'll probably, a lot of you who are somewhat older have the same experience. You used to hear everything on the radio, and then nowadays, radio is just not part of my listening habits anymore, so I don't pick up on the new artists. Silver Sun pickups. But Dan wanted to take me to that concert. They were coming through Salt Lake, but I don't think we ever managed to make that happen. So, but I thought that their music was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. It was good workout music. So, let's see. Cats or dogs? I like them both. I've never owned a dog.
Would you like to?
Dogs are so much more work. And, I'm a bird person, and birds are a lot of work. I don't think that that's a good mix. But, and so I've always had cats, and I love cats. We have 2 cats right now. Thing is, dogs are just kind of special. There's a special relationship between humankind and dogs, and dogs can't help but make me happy anytime I see a dog. There's something special about them. I don't think that I ever want to own one, but I would not pick myself as a cat person or a dog person. Though I will say, if we talk about magic card altars, I've bought way more cats than dogs on my magic cards. I should bring those sometime and show them to you.
That'd be great. Or a social media post. Octavia would probably love that.
Brandon nerds over his. One of the things I love to do is buy magic altars, which are like people hand painting onto a magic card. So. What is my historic reading time and working time? So I read for about a half hour a day during workout, and I tend to write for somewhere around 8 hours a day. So I do spend a lot more time writing than I spend reading. So, do I have a cat commander deck? I tried to order that cat and dog commander deck, but it sold out, the one that they had on Secret Lair. Before I could get to it, before I even woke up. So I don't play a ton of EDH, but my kid does, so I've started building EDH decks so that I can play with him. Movie TV news. As usual, we're getting a lot of questions about that. The answer is there's no news. As usual, Hollywood is Hollywood, and I am me, meaning I'm very judicious about the decisions I make these days. And because of that, both of those things lead to it being very slow.
And I don't think they know what they are right now. I think they're in a weird transitionary period.
They're in a very odd position. So we'll see. You have to make cat tokens with photos of your cats. That's a good idea, actually. It's not a bad idea at all. Do I have the Lego Millennium Falcon? Yes, but one of my children, as I was building with the other one, was young enough to destroy it on accident, and now it is in pieces among all the other Legos. But we do have a Lego R2-D2, which I think maybe you gave to us, that we have. Now my children are older, that doesn't happen anymore. And the Lego R2-D2 is really cool. It has the little lightsaber that you can,
really? That's cool.
That's like hidden in it, and like things that pop out and stuff like that.
So on the Millennium Falcon, did you like finish building it and then it broke?
We got about 3/4, so it's even worse than that.
And there's so many pieces. That's a hard one to.
Yeah, we just it got mixed in, like it got dumped into the regular Legos, and we just gave up.
My heart hurts hearing that.
Yeah. I haven't on Trailblazer seen a ton of Bollywood. I've seen some Tollywood. I really liked RRR. And I love Bride and Prejudice, but that's a UK movie by a director of Indian descent, which isn't technically Bollywood either. Let me know what Bollywood I should see. But yeah, I want to see the epic fantasy by the same director of RRR. There's a 2-part epic fantasy that everyone says is really good.
I'm finally going to watch RRR
Are ya?
on the 29th, right after the final stream.
Oh yeah, do you have
go
the
watch it.
theater?
Yeah. Because we're going to a trip to India like
Yeah.
2 weeks after that. I'm like, so I'm
You
bringing
gotta-
all my classmates to come down and watch it.
Oh, cool.
So
That's right. That's
not all, but you know.
Adam gets to graduate from this master's
Thankfully,
program
yes.
that has been
I'm gonna
wearing
miss
him
it.
out.
I'm gonna miss it, but
What?
it's been extra.
I think if we came to you in a year and asked if you missed it, you'll be like, no.
I will miss the people, and I will miss the lectures. I will not miss exams, and I will not miss homework. But I'm ready to have my life back.
Mariah, who loves Frugal Wizard, thank you. I love Frugal Wizard too. It is the lowest rated of the secret projects, and I can see why. It's sandwiched between Yumi and
It's a hard
Tress.
place to be.
It's a very hard place to be. I don't think it's necessarily a weaker novel than, say, some of the Steelheart novels or Legion, but it is ranked lower than all of those. I think coming off the high of Tress and getting something so goofy and bizarre, it's strange to say that Tress isn't the goofy, bizarre one, but Frugal Wizard is the goofy, bizarre one. So I can't promise anything more in the future of that. I would like to do something with Dan. I'd like to do Titanic 2 sink harder in that universe, but no promises. It's just, I watch what people love, and that's not a guarantee I'll do more of that, but it definitely influences me.
I have seen a lot of questions about people wondering about the split payments. I thought we could let Kellen.
Kellen, why
address
don't you
that.
talk about split payments for a second?
Yeah, a couple of the questions are, will it delay their shipment? It won't if all of your payments go through properly. We don't anticipate shipping before those 4 months would be up anyway. So as long as you have your payment method set up correctly, you should be fine there. If your payment does fail, it will send you, BackerKit will send you an email, so keep an eye out on that and update your payment, because if you don't, then we won't ship your stuff until you have paid. Then there was another question as well about will the survey process open before those 4 payments? Yes and no. People who have paid in full will be able to access their survey it's sometime in April, so that will happen before all of the payments are made. However, unfortunately, because of the logistics on the back end, we can't open the surveys until all of the payments have made. So you still will be able to fill out your address. You can still add on add-ons once all of those 4 payments have gone through, but you will see that some people can access their survey before you can if you decided to go for split payments.
Scotty May in the chat wants to know if you can pay off the split payments early. Do you know?
That is actually a question I don't know. I will put that on my list to ask BackerKit.
Yeah, Sadie's pointing out close to 13 million. I'll have to go look. That's so we didn't expect this to go as high as the secret projects.
Now it's ahead of it.
And
it's on pace ahead of it.
Yeah, it's likely going to be ahead of it, which is crazy.
I don't think it's going to finish ahead of it.
Yeah, we don't think it'll finish. So the secret projects went kind of bonkers in that a lot of people who hadn't ever read my books bought the secret projects because I pointed out to them that they were good starting points. I don't think this secret project is a good starting point into the Cosmere, not like Tress or Yumi would be, and so we're not going to be pushing. Plus, there's only 2 books for sale this time, so we're guessing that we won't end up. But the first day beating the last first day is pretty great. We're quite pleased with that, I would say, particularly since previously to us doing this, 21 million was the top And it looks like there's a decent chance that we'll match that again. So, yeah, I'm.
And I see all your comments about the audio again. I have maxed out the audio delay, so I apologize that it went out of sync again. I don't know why it's doing that, but
Yeah.
sorry.
Your computer does have to work really hard.
Yeah, it's breathing hard.
It's possible. Let's see. What order am I? I am a bondsmith. Yeah. Favorite Elder Scrolls game? Morrowind. Again, I don't have any hot takes. I like the ones that everybody likes. Skyrim comes close. Skyrim comes close. I like the weirdness of Morrowind just a little bit more. I'm one of these people who's old school, who doesn't want to get a little indicator on my map. It's you don't have to explore in modern games anymore, and
Takes the role playing out of it a little bit.
it takes the role playing out of it. I'd love it if they, and they don't have to design quite as well. I feel like in order to do that, they still do some really great environmental storytelling and stumble upon like a cool little camp or things like that. But I wish that,
I'm sure someone's modded it to do that. And
well, the problem is you'd have to do so much work because they don't build the quests in such a way that you can get environmental clues to follow them like they used to. And that's a ton of work.
Yeah.
It's just perhaps so Oblivion got a little repetitive for me. I won't lie. Let's see. Red Rising's pretty darn good. I haven't again read all of that series, just the first book. People love the later books in that series, which is super impressive. Favorite Robin Hobb story? That's a tough one. I obviously like the original Assassins books quite a bit, but then the later ones are really cool. Like, she does things with narrative that nobody else does. And I like seeing the characters age and grow, and nobody writes that quite as well as Robin Hobb does. So I'd have trouble picking. Brandon, we can never trust you when you say you aren't writing anything in secret again. Now you can, because that's the thing you don't expect from me. See? Now I can surprise you by not writing anything in secret.
A not welcome surprise?
That's right. Yeah.
I really like Allison Bitely's question. Have you read the Wheel of Time series?
Have I read the Wheel of Time series? Nice. I saw Argent in there.
He's in there.
He asked me White Sand revision. That is on my plate once I finish Stormlight 5. So the plan is finish Stormlight 5, play some video games and take some time off. Then start on the White Sand novelization, with an eye towards starting Era 3 of Mistborn January of next year.
Are you a regamer? Will you? Okay, so you're going to play the DLC of Elden Ring by itself without going back and replaying?
Here's the problem. I started New Game Plus, but then I'm just not a regamer. And so I'm like, I've already done this, and I moved on. But my character is at the beginning of New Game Plus. And so respect to Dex, because I had already done Strength. And so I might have to fight my way through to where I can get to the DLC. So we'll see.
Well, and it could be good to relearn the game mechanics as well.
Yeah.
If you're rusty on it.
Yeah, I might be. It's rough because all the Souls-born games are like slightly different in how the timing of how you swing and things are. And going from one to the other can actually be super jarring. Like, I was playing Elden Ring, and Dark Souls 1 is one of my favorite games, right? And my brother-in-law was playing. He's like, hey, I can't get past this part. I'm like, oh, I'll get past this part. I just couldn't do it because I was used to the timing and rhythm of Elden Ring.
Yeah.
So them all being slightly different is kind of frustrating if you have to go back and forth between them. But I haven't played one in between, so I might still be in that rhythm. I'm getting a lot of questions about the tabletop RPG Stormlight. We'll focus more on that once this campaign's done. We'll turn an eye toward that. That in fall is when we're gonna start talking a lot more about that. So it's coming along just fine. We're right on target. It's looking really good. Dan has done a ton of great work with it, and I've been kind of focused on looking over the artwork and things like this, and editorial has been spending a lot of time on continuity. So everybody's working on this. So how do I find artists? Isaac finds the artists.
You say, I like that.
I like that. Yep. Isaac will bring me be like, here's 10 artists that would be a good match that we have either worked with before or we want to work with. And I'll look them over and we'll talk over our top 3.
I bet he has a big list of artists that he wants to work with. So that's probably a hard decision.
Are you getting more Stone Wards? Yeah. There'll be you'll get at least one cool Stone Ward has a bit part in Stormlight 5, and then the back 5 we'll talk more about the Stone Wards. If you're broke, what if you're broke? Don't back this. Don't go into debt to back our campaign. We will make sure that most of the things here are available later on. Don't back if you're broke.
The prices are not going to be so high that you should risk something now.
Yeah, we do like to, we can offer discounts now because we can do pre-orders, we can do bulk orders, and we do like to throw in a few exclusive things. But if you're broke, please, we don't want to be the source of you going into debt. So
are you going to do the DLC? Or are you going to do Baldur's Gate 3 or
Tears of the Kingdom?
There's so many games that have come out
so
since
many
you started
games.
writing.
I know. Fortunately, Hades got delayed, Hades 2, so that one's not in the running. But
would that one have moved to the top? Because I know you loved.
I do love Hades, but probably the Elden Ring DLC is at the top right now.
I just have to say, I really respect your determination to not, because I know you love.
I do.
All those. I mean, I know you love gaming in general. So,
but if I start gaming, it will eat into some of my writing time. If I really get into a game, I will want to finish it. And we can't afford that right now, because if I don't get Stormlight 5 done and in, then that's a disaster scenario.
Yeah.
Everybody depends on me. And so fortunately it looks really good. It's not like there's an unexpected amount of work. I'm liking how the beta readers are responding. And I'm taking alpha reader feedback right now and then funneling it through a beta read of it. And the beta readers are just almost always landing exactly where I want it to be. So thank you, alpha readers, by the way. They did a lot of good work on this one. Poor alpha readers had to read this so disjointed. Because they were reading, this sequence of from this character, and then they jump back and read this sequence from this character, 200,000 words earlier, and trying to sort through it all. Because of the way I wrote the book, it was a big old mess for them, and they did a Herculean job of reading through this book when it was completely out of order and things like that. So, percent update on Stormlight 5. I'm right on target. I think I have revised 330,000 of the 480,000 I need to have finished by the time we hit the last day of March. So I don't know what the percentage is, because I usually do that math before the weekly update. But it's made good progress. We're over the 2/3 mark. It's coming along. John, how do you become beta readers? It's not just friends of mine, though. A lot of friends of mine. So beta readers are mostly made up, actually, of people who started beta reading for me back when I wasn't famous, and they were willing to do it. And they were some of the only fans who were fans of the books, and we put them to work. We found some of them, like on the Warbreaker, when I was posting it on the forum. We found others just at Book signings, people I noticed came a lot to book signings. We do try to look for different perspectives and aggressively kind of look for people who might have a specific realm of expertise that helps you become a beta reader. Mostly, Peter's the one who picks these, and I can't even really tell you how to make it happen. You can talk to Peter about that. So, yeah. A lot of people asking about Lego.
They're probably seeing the Lego that's
Yeah.
behind you. We were toying around with the idea of having Isaac, or with Isaac, doing a video about Legos and maybe the Roshar map.
Yeah.
Let me know in the chat if that's something that you guys would be interested in.
I mean, I can't imagine that we would want to really do that unless
not
we got
like
Lego
how
to like,
Yeah.
and maybe they would be willing to. Maybe we're getting to the size that they would pay attention, but I feel like we're still kind of beneath Lego realm.
Probably need a media property. Or
Yeah,
something.
like I feel like we're just not quite big enough for Lego.
Or maybe
like,
that's something we could do on social media instead of YouTube. I don't know, or on his.
It's like when Funko Pop came to us and was like, or we went to them, I think. Either way, we're talking to Funko Pop. They're like, we really need to guarantee we can sell 10,000 of these before we Funko Pop, and we were like, yeah, we don't know, right? We don't know if we could do 10,000 Funko Pops. We don't want them to jump in and do something with us and then get burned. So yeah, we'll see. It's hard because we're right in this realm where we're very big for a book property, but we're very small for a media property.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. If you have a VIP pass, can you transfer them to your friends? That's not a question for me. That's yes, you can.
Yes, you can
Okay.
transfer badges once registration is opened, of course,
Yes.
which we have not done yet, but May 7th.
Yes, so you can. So new Fortnite skins. Well, Donald left. My friend who was the director of Fortnite. He's moved on. Still has a good relationship with them, but he's no longer the director of Fortnite. Kelsier ended up in Fortnite because he and I were just sitting around laughing about the idea, and so he just did it, right? That's the sort of thing that can happen when the director is your friend. And he's moved on. He has moved to Hollywood and is working on Hollywood projects right now. So, yeah. There's definitely... well, I have a panel for C2E2. Yeah, I'll have several cool
we
panels.
have some planned, but nothing's been announced yet, so we will announce those as soon as we can.
Cosmere Magic the Gathering. See, that's another one. Wizards has asked before if we were interested, but then I think their kind of license, the bigger fish came along, shall we say. We started discussions and they just kind of vanished because you can, when you're talking to us and then Final Fantasy comes along and says, why don't you make a Final Fantasy one? Then the Brandon Sandersons of the world, they're like, we'll talk to you later. That's how the corporate world works. I have a lot of people that are big fans that work at Wizards, and they're all wonderful people. But the corporate structure is such that, they're going to go make the Final Fantasy set before they make the Brandon Sanderson set. So
We'll see how long it takes them to burn through all their IPs at the rate that they're putting stuff out.
Yep, we'll see. We'll see if they burn through them, and then I'm kind of waiting until I have like a movie and stuff, and I can be like, all right, you can now that it's big enough that you actually want to do it. Maybe I can influence you doing it in the way I want it to be done, because I would enjoy being on the design team for the cards for a Cosmere set. That's the one thing that I would do. Is I would probably even move to Seattle for a few months and be like, I'm actually gonna work on this. So, favorite memories of David Farland. That might be a good place to stop because we're right over an hour. Favorite memories of Dave. Dave was such a kind-hearted individual, and I really enjoyed. There's a lot of great memories of Dave. Obviously, the one where I went in and kind of the first time that we had a one-on-one, he's like, he said he'd read Elantris, which I was submitting. He's like, this is pretty good. You're really talented. Have you started work on your second book? And I'm like, well, I've written 8, and Elantris is my 6th. He's like, oh, well, I can talk to you in a way that I can't talk to other authors because you're ready. And that kind of conversation that sent me to the Nebula Awards, where I met Joshua, became my agent. But just watching him interact with fans, how sweet and nice. Being on tour with Dave was a lot of fun because you could watch his line after my line was done, and could watch just him being so kind to everybody who came through the line. So soft-spoken and nice. So there's a favorite memory of David Farland. I think that we will cut it here. We'll be back next week.
Next Friday.
I do want to say one quick thing before we
Yes.
finish. Something that BackerKit was able to do for us that was pretty fun is people get to pick their order after they pledge, and they get a little badge, and it changes the look of their page. And we have daily trivia competitions going on. So, we want those. Currently, the Stonewords are winning the trivia. So go Stonewords.
Stonewords winning. I
So-
didn't see Windrunners on there.
They should be on there.
I counted 9 orders, but
I will check
That
on
would
that.
be hilarious.
But that would be pretty funny if we left the Windrunners out. It is weighted, so it's...
yeah, maybe they just didn't make the above the fold that I was where I was
man,
reading.
I would
Yeah.
imagine that.
Well, it depends on if they can
Yeah.
win the trivia.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
maybe the Windrunners are too busy out there protecting folks. But I see you, graphic audio requester. We will do what we can. Otherwise, go fill out your things and pick your orders. And if you feel like it, share our launch video with your friends and your family. That's not a thing that we commonly ask you to do. I know you get bombarded by people saying, please like and subscribe. But that's the one. If you're going to do one little thing for us, share that video, like that video. We will be live next Friday, same time, right?
Same time, 6 o'clock Mountain
So
Standard.
not this Friday, but next Friday. And that's when I will have plushies for you to see. So see you then.
Bye, everybody.